All right, hello and welcome to Inside the River End. This is Philly Sports Network's podcast discussing all things Philadelphia Union. I am Tim Lovenguth, editor of soccer content for PSN, and joining me today on the phone is PSN contributing writer Jeff Green. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Tim. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited to be doing this. I know we've been, talking about getting this pod fired up for a little bit here. And I know in past years, our founder and token Brit, Liam Jenkins, used to cover the Union on this podcast. So I know I wanted to get this started up, and I think right now is probably the perfect time to do it, as the Union have clinched a top four finish in MLS's Eastern Conference, and with that will host at least one home playoff game here in 2019. So without further ado, let's get right into talking about that. They clinched some kind of home field advantage here last night with all those results going the Union's way. So what do you think their ceiling is, and where do you see the Union finishing this season?
Well, let me go first with where I see them finishing, and as far, I guess you mean in the standings.
Yeah.
It's going to be really tough. I would say, ask me after today, because if
Yeah.
NYCFC loses to Dallas, which I think there's a very good chance of that happening, I would say the Union could take the division,
Right.
or the conference per se. If NYC draws or wins today, I would say first place is not going to happen. But I do think the Union will definitely finish in front of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta, has the win yesterday. I don't know, against San Jose, it was kind of fluky.
Mm-hmm.
They were up a man for a long time. I don't think they're playing as well. I kind of think they're just waiting for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I would say odds are the Union will finish second. If NYCFC loses today to Dallas, I would say the Union have a very good chance of first place. And, of course, that'll come down to the final game on October 6th, which the Union will have to win.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree. I see a way at least for them to finish in that first seed, but it's like you said, it really depends on this weekend's games. NYCFC at Dallas and Philly, going up to Red Bull, a place where they haven't really won very much. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. For me, I think the team's mentality needs to be that the ceiling is the number one seed, the conference, and they should be pushing for that. We'll see what they can actually do with that. But there is that avenue there for the Union to get that top seed. And I think, if things kind of go their way, there's a few things here that could really, turn for them. A tie even at Dallas for NYCFC, I think, opens the door for the Union at least a little bit more to get that top seed. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And as far as the second part of your question, as far as their ceiling, I really think on any given night, they can beat anyone in MLS except for NYCFC at Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
It's just kind of I don't know if other teams have this feeling, but, we follow the Union so closely. It's just kind of this bugaboo, this feeling where, the game starts and you kind of just have the sinking feeling in your stomach watching games there.
Yeah.
And you just, if two passes are booted down the field, it's going back past the goal. It's just not a good feeling to even watch a game there, but to combine it with just, the poor play and I'll say also, some bad luck that the Union have had there. If they can avoid playing at Yankee Stadium, I'd say the Union can win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see what happens here, but a string of results for NYCFC. You know, if they tie this weekend at Dallas and then they have that big midweek game against Atlanta, we'll see if Joseph Martinez is able to play in that one. It looked like he got pretty severely hurt last night for them. But if that's a draw as well, you know, then it goes down to, you know, that last week or weekends there. You know, New York City play New England then next weekend at New England, which, you know, it's not a given win anymore with the way that Bruce Arena has them playing. And then it kind of comes down to that last weekend, you know, against Philly, which we could see there's a plausible end where we could see the Union be on 60 points and New York City be on 60 points and the Union get the tiebreaker for wins in that last game, which would be incredible. We'll see if it can get to that, but that's probably a high ask, I would think, but we'll see with that. But yeah, let's move on to today's game for the Union against New York Red Bulls here. Let's talk first actually about the three, you know, road games in an 8-day stretch. So starting with today with Red Bulls. So how are we feeling? You know, how many points do you think they can take from these 3 games in a short amount of time on the road?
Well, you know, it's interesting. What I've been thinking about is how Jim Curtin is going to run out, you know, a lineup for these 3 matches.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's different than, you know, a crowded week, say in the beginning of May. You know, these games mean everything.
Right.
The good news for the Union is that they're pretty much injury free right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have to take a point tonight. I can't, and you know what? Just a feeling. If they lose today, I just have a feeling that first place will not happen. So right. I really think they need a point today. And you know, we don't have to get all into the, you know, MLS charter flight discussion.
Right.
But I don't recall exactly the scenario about the Union flying out to San Jose, but it's not good.
Yeah.
And to have a Sunday night game followed by a Wednesday game on the West Coast is really the toughest ask you could ask an Eastern Conference club to do.
Yeah.
I think that Wednesday, out of necessity, and you know, Jim Curtin has surprised us this season, you know, with matches only a few days apart, almost starting the same 11.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to be possible. I believe today we'll most likely see, you know, what we normally expect.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, I wouldn't be surprised if Wooten gets a start in Casper's spot. And I have a feeling Fabian, I was at the practice, what was it, Tuesday?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it was Wednesday. And Fabian he didn't look as active and involved as some other players. He didn't look injured, but he didn't look super engaged, if I could say that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just have a feeling that he will not play against Red Bull, and he'll be in the lineup on Wednesday, say for maybe Aronson or Montero.
Mm-hmm.
I would say tonight I'm feeling a draw.
Okay.
Wednesday, San Jose is interesting because, you know, I know they had an opportunity yesterday against Atlanta, but they kind of just, I don't know, they seem like they were self-destructing, and Wondolowski with the red card, I think the Union will take that match on Wednesday. They'll come out of there with 3 points.
Okay.
And Sunday, Columbus is kind of just waiting for the season to end, Sunday the 29th. Okay. And I see them taking 3 points out of there, too. So I'm going to go 1-3-3 for this road trip. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see a few things different, but mainly the same here. I actually have them getting only 5 points from this road trip, not 7 like you said there. Um, but I actually expect the Union to win today, and I think they start the same exact 11 that they started against LAFC, and they play the exact same way with Montero, Aronson, and Pico just pressing high and beating Red Bull that way. That could be a little tricky with the way Red Bull play. They play kind of the exact same style as that. So we'll kind of see, if maybe Curtin changes it up a little bit. Maybe they do go back to a 4-4-2 diamond, but they haven't really done that now for what seems like months. But I do see the Union winning today, and it'll be very close. I think it comes down to second half substitutions from Curtin. Like you, I don't see Fabian starting today. I see him on the bench, though. I think he will get back there. I see him coming into the game. I'm not going to say he's going to score the winning goal and return to some kind of glory or something like that. But I think he will come in and play a part there. I think, we could probably see, if this game is close coming down the stretch, Fabian, Elsinho, and Sergio Santos come into the game, which, if those are just 3 great attacking substitutions that the Union have been crying out for in years past, in games like this. So yeah, I think they can get the 3 points today. Going out to San Jose is interesting. Because San Jose has to do the same type of travel. I know they get an extra day since they played yesterday, but they're flying home from Atlanta. So it doesn't mitigate the fact that the Union aren't using their charter flights for whatever reason, but at least it still kind of, takes away the one team traveling across the country, since both teams have to do it. With San Jose and the way that they played against Atlanta yesterday, I agree with you. I don't really understand what happened there. And it seems to have happened to them a lot this season, where they look like a really great team. Almeida looks, like coach of the year at some points. But then something happens and every single person on the field switches off for them, and they just let people walk all over them, which is what Atlanta did at the very end of that game yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think, I expect, even with San Jose being without Wando, his 14 goals on the season not being on the field obviously helps the Union. No Espinosa in that game either. Their young winger that they have on loan from Villarreal, who's been a bright spot for them as well. And I think Almeida actually got sent off too, or something. He was told to leave the coach's box yesterday. So we'll see if we'll see if he's actually suspended or what that was about. I know he's had some troubles in past weeks too. I don't know though. This game, I think it's a game that the Union really should win. But I think if they're coming off a win at Red Bull and they really overexert themselves in that game, I think the midweek game they're gonna be tired, even if for all those talking points with flights and training and regeneration days and everything like that. I just don't see them winning that game. I do see them, though, making changes. I think, Jim had talked about it. I can't remember if it was this past press conference or not, that he's going to need everyone down this stretch, especially in these types of games. So I actually could see the Union realistically making 6 changes and really going away from Curtin's stick to his starting 11 style of play there. I think Wooten gets a start, like you said. Fabian should get a start. I think Santos could get a start on one of the wings there, probably for Aronson. I think you rest Medunjanin in this game and play Montero at the 8 or 6 or whatever, double pivot, whatever you want to call it, in a 4-2-3-1. I think we could realistically see Elliott and Wagner get some time off for rest purposes. You throw in Real and Trusty, or Colin if you really want to play Colin in a game. I don't know if I would, but hey, we'll see what happens with that, and kind of move forward from there. I think we could also see them give rest to Ray Gaddis and play RJ Allen. Allen played fine, and I think he played 90 minutes in the friendly against Pumas there a few weeks ago, and he looked okay. I know it wasn't Pumas's, starting 11, but he still looked okay. So I really think the Union, if they're going to make changes, I think it's going to be at San Jose just because of the logistics. But I don't know if those changes are going to give the Union an extra push for a win. I think they could, especially with San Jose missing pieces. And then when we come to the end of this road trip here at Columbus, I think this is a textbook trap game. I really do. This is a That's So Union match. Going to a team they should be able to blow out of the water. I don't know. I just don't know. Columbus have gone on a very quiet 4-game unbeaten streak. You never know what's going to happen with Jossie Zardes. He's either going to hit a ball out of the stadium or he's going to hit it in the top corner. There's no in between. He's really that inconsistent, which carries over to the U.S. men's national team, but I'm not going to talk about that today. But we'll save that for another time when we get into some men's national team stuff here. But yeah, I think in that game next weekend, the Union will come out strong. They'll get the lead, but then somehow I think they're going to cough it up and get a point from that match. I hope I'm wrong, but that's just what I feel right now. And this could all change again with what happens this weekend and how the Union are feeling. But I think at the end of this 8-game stretch that the travel will really take their legs out from under them too. And I don't know. I went out to a game to see the Union play in Columbus before, and it was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen. It was in the Ernie Stewart era, so it wasn't a great game. The Union rotated their squad, which I thought was surprising because that never happened. They were in a 4-2-3-1, and they tried to play the ball to Jay Simpson, and Jay Simpson couldn't do anything with the ball. And they lost like 2-0 to Columbus.
There's been a lot of ugly games against Columbus, even ones that the Union have won. So
yeah,
that's surprising.
Yeah.
I think you're right about the changes coming on Wednesday. I think the level of changes will depend on today. If the Union lose to the Red Bulls and NYCFC beats Dallas, they'll be 8 points out of first place with only 3 matches to go. I think if that happens, Curtin might just concede that situation, and we'll see massive changes come Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
And I hope that doesn't happen. But we'll see.
For sure. All right. Well, did you have any other thoughts about any of these games in particular here as we move forward, looking at the Union and these opponents specifically? Do you have any extra or other thoughts?
Well, I know, we discussed San Jose has been so up and down.
Yeah.
And there's really no rhyme or reason to how well or how poorly they play. I think, the key on Wednesday is, the one consistent, one of the few consistent players for them during the season has been, their goalie, Daniel Vega.
Yeah.
I think the key to them, and especially be on the road, would, if the Union go up, a goal or two early, I think that will be typical San Jose implosion time. And, it'll be the key to just jump on them.
Right.
As far as Red Bull, you can just it's hard to tell. This is the first season I can remember in, I don't know, maybe forever, that the Union have been ahead of the Red Bulls and basically, you can say better than them the entire season.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time that's happened. I don't feel I don't know if I call it mystique, but, the Red Bulls are just they're kind of an average team.
Yeah.
They're in 6th place. New England in 7th is only 3 points behind them.
Yeah.
But, the Eastern Conference is so tight. The Red Bulls still have a shot at being in the top 4 also. So they're really going to be pushing everything today.
Yeah.
but I think it's going to end in a draw. And like you said, back to Columbus, it's kind of like you go down there and I don't know, I've been out to Chicago before, and I have friends out there, so they talk about Columbus a lot. And, they said they've gone to games out there, and it's just kind of, honestly, they just feel depressed when they enter that stadium. And I can't attest to that. I haven't been there, but I'm just saying what I've heard.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to go in there amped up, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially when they're playing that poorly, So, I think the Union will come out pretty well at the end of these three matches, and I think that game on October 6th, very good chance. I'd say 75% chance that will be for first place.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. With this game today against Red Bulls and them being an average team, I totally agree. And I don't think it's ever happened where the Union have been better than the Red Bulls for an entire season. I think that has a huge part to do with Bradley Wright Phillips being injured and not himself and not scoring goals for most of the season. And I say that right now on this podcast, and we'll see what happens today with that. I hope I didn't just jinx the Union's chances with that. I don't remember the last time.
He has been injured, but he's been in the 18 a lot.
That's true.
So I just look for him every week, and I'm thinking tonight might be the night that he starts up top.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I know Brian White's been playing well for them. He's been a good young striker. He scored against the Union in that wild 3-2 win the Union had when they were in Chester here. But yeah, I really think that Bradley Wright Phillips could be key in this game for a lot of reasons, and he always has a knack for scoring against us, against Philly here. So I don't know. That'll definitely be something I'm watching for, and especially when lineups come out, we'll see where he is, if he's starting or on the bench or what. Again for San Jose, they if it does come to implosion time and the Union can score at the beginning, then I think that's the time Elsinho comes on. You'll see him come on and just try to destroy them, down the right wing. But yeah, beginning, in that match there, I think they start with speed on the wings with Santos and Fafa on either side there. Try to kill them that way, get some service into the box for Wooten and Fabian or whoever's in there to kind of get that early lead.
I think it's important for Wooten to get that, at least that one game in.
Yeah.
And get a goal there. Because if we really don't see anything from him, it'll be interesting. He was such a big signing during the season. But if we really don't see anything between now and playoff time, I don't know. Kurt might be hard justified to keep 18.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at this team and the competition that is for the 18 right now, do we really need two bench spots to go to two strikers in Santos and Wooten? I think we probably do if we're playing, if the Union are playing a 4-2-3-1, and they see Santos more as a winger with, going over the top of people on the wing that way, and Wooten as more of the hold up, center forward, get onto headers, get onto crosses, things like that. Then maybe we need both of them. But if that, if other players are coming up through the team right now, and maybe a bench spot would be better for someone in midfield or another defender, against certain teams for strategy's sake, then maybe Wooten doesn't make the 18.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me a month and a half ago, when Santos was, invisible, and rarely in the 18, I would say, okay, well, we'll just put Wooten in there. But now there's solid competition for that spot. Yeah,
definitely see that. But yeah, we'll see what they do here, especially today. I think that will be telling. The starting 11 for today. I don't think Curtin will go away from what has been working, especially against if it worked against DC, Atlanta, and LAFC in 3 consecutive league games. I don't see him changing against Red Bull. I think these were the games. This 4-game stretch here of DC, Atlanta, LAFC, and New York Red Bull. I think they circled that on the calendar when it came out in January. And they said, these are the games, if we want to be taken seriously, we need to win, or we need to get results from, we need to get points from. So I think he'll go with his best 11 today, whatever he sees that as, or whatever the coaching staff sees that as. And we'll kind of move on from there in these next 2 games. But yeah.
All right. I agree wholeheartedly with you there.
Yeah, man. All right, so before we get out of here, because I know we want to keep it a little bit short today, just so we don't keep just saying the same exact things over these 3-game stretch here, do you want to run down what's going on today with the other teams in MLS, the other big matchups that we should be paying attention to?
Well, I mean, actually, every matchup has major playoff implications today, which is a good thing for MLS. The first one here, I think, could be the best match of the day is Portland, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Portland, for years they've been a very solid, tough to beat at home club, and they've lost their last 2 at home, and. But they're playing Minnesota, Minnesota is really fighting, they're in solid competition for a top 4 spot, but right now Portland is on the outside of the playoff picture.
Yeah.
So they are in, if they lose 3 in a row at home, and drop points today, they could be in serious trouble. I would say Portland's going to go all out. Portland will win at home today. Minnesota is still going to be in solid shape.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what happens today, they will still be in the 4 slot. We also have FC Dallas and NYCFC, which we'll all have our eyes on around Philadelphia.
Yep.
Dallas is tough, and NYCFC just they're a good away team, but no one in MLS is great on the road except for maybe LAFC.
Yeah.
I think Dallas will win that game, and we also have DC United and Seattle, and this is interesting. I mean, Seattle, for all intents and purposes, they've clinched a playoff spot.
Yeah.
It's not official, but they're in second place, although they're 15 points behind LAFC. DC United still has a shot at a top 4 seed, which kind of surprises me just for how poorly they played in the middle of the season. I'm kind of shocked to see that they're even in 5th right now.
Yeah.
That one, I think they're starting to turn it around a bit. I think DC United is going to win that match. What do you think on today?
Yeah, that first match there, Portland and Minnesota, definitely an interesting game. You got 2 teams kind of moving in different directions. Portland lost at home midweek to Red Bulls, which is a crazy thing to say. I can't remember the last time I actually think I've seen a Portland win at home. I'd have to look at it again. But it just seems like they're tanking at an unusual time in the season, and Minnesota is moving up, on the other side of the coin there. And they look good. It's kind of sad that Minnesota wasn't able to get that U.S. Open Cup win over Atlanta. I think they played pretty well in that match, and they've played pretty well all season. But I think in that match there, I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw and have things get more mucky in the Western Conference than just have, more people saying, who's actually going to make the playoffs with all of that, not many points separating the teams outside of the playoffs and the teams inside of the playoffs, between it's the second and like ninth seed are all within, I think it was like 5 points as of, it was either yesterday or before the games yesterday, so I'd have to double check on that, but that's all crazy. So
yeah,
the Western
2 to 7, there's only 6 points between.
Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, so that there'll definitely be some movement there, and I think a draw in this match would just add to the drama. So I'm all for that in the Western Conference. Let's add to more drama, get things all muddled up, and hopefully LAFC losing the playoffs. That's my dream there. But yeah, FC Dallas, New York City. I mean, obviously, it's I would say, besides the Union's game, biggest game of the weekend for Union fans to see what happens here. Dallas are an interesting team. They should be better than they are this year. I think you can say that about a lot of the Western Conference teams, though. And I don't know. I think this match ends in a draw. I think it's more dramatic fashion for FC Dallas. I think New York City comes out and kind of dominates the game in the first half. They get a goal, and then FC Dallas kind of remembers that they're playing at home, and they get back to it in the second half, find a way to get the tie.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, I really think that's how that's going to go. But I could also see logistically New York City just blowing this team out in the first half, and then it's too much. But we'll see what happens. I'm hoping FC Dallas can kind of get it together. It's a Hall of Fame induction weekend out there because that's where the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame is. So maybe they'll put on a show for Abby Wambach since she got in. So that's pretty cool. But that last game, what was that?
No, I said no. I actually forgot about that, and that would be
nice. Yeah. Let's have them put on a show for a great striker there. Let's see them score some goals for her. But yeah, DC Seattle. I mean Seattle. I think they're in second place now, right? All the movement that's been happening.
Yeah, they are in second place, and but like I said, the Galaxy and Minnesota are only 2 points behind Seattle.
Right. Yeah.
For second place.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, them coming across country to play at DC. I don't know. Wayne Rooney, Luciano Costa, are they going to be back to their form? They've kind of showed that, DC are back a little bit after their dip in August where they were just, imploded, and Wayne Rooney decided to go back to England and sign for a team there for next year, for Derby County. But yeah, I don't know. I think DC will be kind of riding high too. Last night they also clinched a playoff spot with all the results that happened. They're in contention, like you said, for that home playoff game. I think they want that at Audi Field. Like if they could give Wayne Rooney a send off there and get some kind of smaller home field advantage that way, that would do wonders for them. I don't know how Seattle has really done this year coming across the country. I know they came to Philly and they sat back against the Union, but that's when teams realize that that's how you can get points from the Union. So that, back in May. So I don't know. We'll see. Seattle, I don't know. I think this game ends in a draw, to be honest. I think both teams are playing well, but I don't know who would be the deciding factor in it. I guess you could probably put that on Wayne Rooney just because of the pedigree there for DC. So if I had to tilt one way, maybe towards DC, but I think it ends in a draw.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're almost every game, I would say, in the last week and the weeks coming, they're going to be tough to call. I've never seen MLS packed so closely together with only a few matches to go. Yeah,
definitely. All right, man. Well, this has been fun. We're right around 35-ish minutes here. So let's wrap it up, and we'll try to do this more often. Just get some people in and talk some Union, talk some MLS. We'll also get probably some more Steel FC coverage as things go on for them. I know they're not having a great season, but we'll try to do this more often and just get to talking to some of you guys out there. So thanks.
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it, Tim.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for listening, and we will see you later.